the offensive end, and Jordan Pope, they wanted him to be a little bit more of a offensive scorer, first point guard. He said, no problem, I'll look for my own more often, and he's done just that, Tom.
We are locked, stocked, and ready to rock. There's Buzz Williams. He's from Van Alstyne, Texas. He's got the best rebounding team in the country on the offensive glass. Rodney Terry is the head coach of Texas. You can see him in the middle of your screen right there. Also a Texas native. Tip is controlled by Texas and Jordan Pope. Doug, thank you, and welcome to the Moody Center in Austin, Texas, for the renewal of one of college sports' all-time rivalries. 226 meeting between Texas and A&M. Tom Hart alongside Dane Bradshaw. A&M is coming off of a clutch win on the road at Ole Miss. They are projected as one of the best seeds they've ever had in the NCAA tournament. Texas is coming off of a key win against Missouri at home. The Longhorns are a bubble team, according to Joe Lunardi. And if the rivalry wasn't enough to get you, for Rodney Terry's team, knowing the value of this win should provide extra motivation. Yeah, enormous opportunity for the Longhorns to defend their home court, try to get revenge, more importantly, improve that resume. But that loose ball, offensive rebound, extra possession for A&M is where the game must be won for Texas. They got to have their best rebounding game of the year. A throwaway, Jordan Pope finds it, reverses, and it's taken off the window. Rodney Terry insisted that should have been goaltending. Well, because they did not call a goaltend, they cannot review this. But how about the effort from Solomon Washington? This guy's motor is outstanding. Live ball turnover, you think easy two for Pope. And we'll see as he reverses on the other end of the glass. And there comes Washington out of nowhere. May have come late, but they didn't see it that way. Huge effort by 9. Look at the starters for an A&M team that is 4-2 in the SEC, but they were sloppy in the midweek win against Ole Miss. They turned it over 20 times in that game. They are not a good shooting team. They are worse in the SEC in every shot metric. Solomon Washington with the mid-range. They make up for that, as you may know, with offensive rebounds. Meanwhile, Texas has won 2 out of 3. They've got to try and solve the A&M pressure defense, and Tremont Mark tripped up at midcourt. So Solomon Washington picks up his first. This is a Texas team scoring 79 points a game. You mentioned the backcourt talent they have. They are short in the front court today, however. Jason Kent is making his first start as a Longhorn, number 25 in white, transferred over from Indiana State. Arthur Kaluma is out with a bothersome knee injury. Here's Trey Johnson, the super freshman, is able to convert. I love that drive by Johnson. He had the center on him. Ordinarily, he likes to pull up jumper. That time he realizes I can get all the way to the basket. To clean it up on Kaluma, we may see him today. He participated in shoot-around this morning, but not in the starting lineup tonight. Here's Zurich Phelps from the logo. And Tremont Mark, who had a big game against A&M as a Razorback last year, pulls down the rebound. Now Pope, wide open for 3. Hit the rim twice, but wouldn't go. Hayden Hefner the rebound. Well, so far, good defense by Texas as A&M pushes up the court. They want to keep the Aggies out of the paint, make them take tough twos from the perimeter and threes. Johnson got away with the reach-in, and it turns into an A&M turnover. And the Aggies, once again, sloppy with the basketball. They've had a couple of turnovers here already. 20 turnovers in a game against Ole Miss, a game that Buzz's team only led for 13 seconds. Manny Obaseki with the game-winning 3 at the end of regulation. Here's Trey Johnson for 3. Nope. And a push on the rebound. A&M is hyper physical, especially on the glass. Number 9 in maroon, Solomon Washington, picks up his second. Well, this is just great effort there by Shedrick, because
He's going to go in there, draw the second foul on Washington. He's getting 3 offensive rebounds a game in conference play. And if there's one weakness for Texas A&M, they give up a lot of offensive rebounds. And so that's an opportunity to maybe send more to the glass, especially your guards, than you would in a normal game.
So here's Tremont Mark. He's got Anderson Garcia all over him. Shot clock will be late. This is what A&M does to you. Ole Miss was 1 for 13 in the game Wednesday night in possessions that came down to the final 4 seconds of the shot clock.
They are a nightmare to play against, are the Aggies.
And they are sloppy again. A jump ball will take it the other way. Turnover number 3 so far in the first less than 3 minutes.
I think the A&M guards have to be more patient when they come down the court. Get the ball moving first. They're trying to penetrate the defense 1-on-5. Like, just make that first entry pass, get it reversed, then attack. Right now, 2 early attempts on the penetration lead to turnovers.
What is A&M trying to accomplish with the 3-quarter court press?
Kill some clock, make Texas pull it back out to where they have a short clock. If you're Texas, you've got to try to beat that press and go right into your offense.
Johnson with the ball fake. He did not have a good shooting game against A&M at Reed Arena, and he's hoping to bounce back from that. He was just 2 for 13, including 0 for 5 from deep. Here's Phelps, second in the SEC in scoring in conference games behind Mark Sears of Bama, and Phelps gets his first.
And that's just a little shot fake on the perimeter. If you're Johnson, you just got to stay down on that. No need to bite and let them get penetration.
Mark pushes against Carter, got a key screen. And once again, the Longhorns can't start their offense until 17 seconds or so on the shot clock. Kent was looking to go high-low. Nothing there. Shot clock at 6. Johnson whips it back. Kent with an 18-footer. And Phelps up for the rebound. And another Aggie sloppy turnover, but they got lucky because it went off of the foot of Pharrell Payne. Buzz Williams, after the win midweek against Ole Miss, said we got really lucky because analytically, we live in the margins, and the only difference in that game was the advantage they had on the glass.
But Tom, the composure and poise they show. This is a veteran team with a ton of continuity that have been together before. They've won those close margin games, including that road win at Oklahoma, to where there was no panic, no matter how poor they were playing for 38.5 minutes of that game.
They are comfortable being down late. That was their 9th second-half comeback of the season. Obaseki was a hero in that one. Hadn't been shooting the ball well on the season, but he hit the big one when it mattered. Pharrell Payne coming off a 10-point game. Obaseki shovel into Garcia. And with 6 seconds remaining on the shot clock, A&M will have it when we return to Austin. This rivalry game slow going. Aggies 4, Longhorns 2.
Heavily as some other schools. They already play with a huge chip on their shoulder, but even more so in this game. And on Texas's side, that's the message Rodney Terry has to send to his roster. Say, hey, a lot of these guys may have wanted to be recruited here, and they're going to take it personal. How personal will you take it? We see how physical it's been so far.
Chase Carter for 3 off the inbounds. Anderson Garcia had his hands on an offensive rebound. That is A&M specialty, and he was fouled by the freshman Trey Johnson. Well, to your point, Rodney Terry yesterday, when meeting with the team, went player by player down the A&M roster and noted each and every one that wanted to play here at Texas. It extends past the players. There was a point in Buzz Williams' career when he interviewed to be a Rick Barnes assistant. He was down to the final 2. He didn't get the job. By some accounts, he was crushed that he didn't, but it all works out. The next job he took was an assistant under Billy Gillespie at A&M.
May have all worked out, but people don't forget, do they?
No, they do not. No, they do not. Carter on the back cut, covered up. Here's Obaseki. And he tries to get through traffic, and he banked it in. Finishes with the flex.
I mean, these guys do such a good job of just lowering their shoulder, initiating contact. It is so hard to defend Texas A&M without fouling when they just drive like this at the basket. You got to build that wall. Don't put your hands in there. You were ready to force a tough 2 if you were Texas. Yet Obasky, who's starting to regain some confidence slowly but surely, and you get a huge jolt of confidence when you hit that game winner on the road in Oxford.
They play offensively and they shoot with a confidence that belies the stats on the season. A three-point play for Obasky. Julian Larry on the floor now for Texas. A&M is last in the SEC in field goal percentage, three-point percentage, and free throw percentage.
But they shoot with confidence because they might take some bad shots, but their coach says, hey, look, I'll live with some of those, but I want you to play with a ton of confidence and be accountable. And more importantly, he wants them to take predictable shots.
In over 3 minutes since the Longhorns have scored, they are just 1 for 7 from the floor this afternoon. Here's Johnson. Gives it up to Larry. He's a pass-first point guard, but puts this one up and in.
I think he can look for his shot more. He's a good shooter. Spot up, that time off the bounce. Takes advantage of the switching Aggies defense.
Well, there's a young lady in the crowd that wants to marry Larry, so he might be motivated to hit more of those jump shots. Here's Pharrell Payne. Kick out. Hesitation. Back to Payne, who was also heavily recruited by Texas coming out of Minnesota in the portal. Shot clock at 5. Tip out gave him a second chance. But now the Longhorns have it. Julian Larry, scoop pass. Oh, the left-hand hammer bounced all the way back to the Aggie bench.
You talk about an opportunity to make this Moody Center explode. Did everything right except finish here. Runs the court, finishes the way you want him to, yet bounces off the rim. But applaud the big fellow for wanting to go duck that thing. Nothing soft in this game.
Aggies have had a slow start offensively, 3 for 10. Wade Taylor not on the floor right now. He's been their leader since he stepped on campus, especially on the offensive end. He's ready to check in at the next dead ball. Johnson's got parking lot range and efficient from the midi, and he knocks that one down after the pump fake on the perimeter.
Yeah, but I think he likes the handicap spot better. I mean, the closer he gets, the better. He loves that mid-range.
You're supposed to have a hang tag for that, Dane. You almost got towed today. Carter, corner 3.
Well, that's a big shot by Carter because Texas intentionally did a short closeout there. They're going to dare him to shoot those corner threes just like Washington. Carter makes them pay.
Longhorns slow played after getting it across midcourt. Devon Pryor's seen some run here in the first half, 22 in white. Johnson's entry pass was nearly thrown away. Shedrick working on Payne. Shot clock late. Pryor. Back-to-back middies for Texas. And the Longhorns are heating up. They've made 4 field goals, 3 of them from mid-range. Here's Payne. Baseline drive and left it short, followed his own miss. Pharrell Payne with his first bucket.
And that's a matchup you must watch for because Payne really hurt Texas in that first game in the second half.
They went for 15 overall in a big second half in a game that was tied at the break at Reed Arena back first SEC game Texas played January 4th. Aggies ended up winning by 20.
Yeah, he's 6'9", 250, so even when he misses, he just displaces you, and it leads to an easy offensive rebound opportunity. So you just got to make sure you hold your ground, don't get bullied, and finish the defensive possession.
Well, Texas is shorthanded in the front court. I mentioned Arthur Kaluma went through shoot-around today. He is on the bench, full sweats, does not look like a guy who's going to come in anytime soon. He had a calf injury in the Florida game, and that turned into a knee issue. Jason Kent getting the start, and he converts his first chance.
Miscommunication there. Great set play by Rodney Terry.
Ray Johnson on the bench right now. Obaseki finds Wade Taylor the 4th. Taylor had a 21 game double-digit scoring streak snapped in the Ole Miss win. Obaseki was the hero there, and he cashes in again. Wade Taylor coming off of just a 4-point performance where he was 0 for 6 from deep. Pope's likely the best offensive option on the floor right now with this lineup for the Longhorns. Kent says, how about me? Took it hard. No whistle on a challenge at the rim. Carter has it erased at the glass. Fantastic block by Onyema. Pryor with the dump down. A ball fake and another miss up front from Kent. And then a foul as he was going to the floor. It has been a challenge on the interior for Texas without the services of Arthur Kaluma.
You talk about some rim protection and nothing easy at the goal. First, it's Payne that says, no, sir. It's a grown man area only. And then big time hustle back by Onyema. Says, we'll get one of those too. Over and got Mr. Manning to sign their hat. And I thought it's kind of unprofessional of you to send that kid over there with a Sharpie. But I'm glad you got your autograph, Tom.
He did have a rushing touchdown in the renewal of the football rivalry. I remember talking to Mac about this rivalry and specifically what happened at the bonfire collapse 25 years ago. And everybody put their differences aside to come together. Immediately, he and his wife, Sally, put together a blood drive. Here's a drive by Pharrell Payne. Tried to hammer it home, and he got rejected at the rim. This game inside the arc is not for the meek.
No, it has been an absolute block party. Onyema earlier, you saw his athleticism when he missed that fast break dunk, but he has more than made up for it. I mean, this is 4 points the past couple possessions the Aggies expected to have denied by Onyema.
Here's Obaseki, top of the key. Got it! Once again, he might be the poster child for playing with confidence.
Well, when he gets going, he gives A&M that third scorer in the backcourt, and that's when they look like a Final Four threat.
This is an A&M team whose best seed in tournament history is a 3 seed. They accomplished that twice, most recently under Billy Kennedy. Right now, Lenardi's got him as a 4 seed, but playing in the loaded SEC, they could make some noise. Pope got a bump and still got it in.
You're not going to see a lot of assists in this game. That's 2 assists on 7 made baskets for A&M. 2 for 6 on Texas as well.
Beautiful rotation from Wade Taylor IV, who didn't hit a 3 in the last game, went 0 for 6.
He needed to see one go in. I mean, he's got as short a memory as any player in college basketball, almost amnesia, but he still was disappointed in how poorly he shot the ball on the road at Ole Miss.
Pope dribbled it off of his foot, and a Texas turnover, only the second of the game. Taylor stepped back, looking for back-to-back. Got it! And a shout to the crowd. Timeout taken by Rodney Terry after Wade Taylor IV extends the lead. It's the largest of the game for A&M.
Wade Taylor had been out with that groin injury, a little rusty coming back, but he's here to remind everybody that Wade Taylor IV is back. And he doesn't need a screen, he doesn't need a pass. Just give me the ball, get out of the way. Tray ball for Wade Taylor.
Vance Walton, the A&M assistant coach before the game, and he said, listen, Wade was as happy as anybody we got the win. He was frustrated with his own performance against Ole Miss. I said, Wade, give yourself some grace. Everything you do helps this team win games, and he's such a great leader with the rest of his teammates.
Yeah, typically it can be a double-edged sword. Your most accountable players tend to be hardest on themselves, and that's great coaching to be able to say, hey, man, treat yourself the way you would others. Encourage yourself the way you do your teammates.
Jamal Mark back on the floor, gets the handoff. Gives it up. Trey Johnson, likely lottery pick. The freshman leaves his feet. Shot clock is at 4, and it skips off of A&M. 2.6 remaining. Remember, Ole Miss was 1 for 13 on possessions that came under 4 seconds on the shot clock Wednesday night. This is a suffocating A&M defense. Where can Texas go here?
Yeah, you've got to drive to pass, and you want to get A&M in rotations. That does kill some clock and get you in these short clock situations. But right now, they've got a lot of guys that can get their own shot off. I like Tremont Mark or Pope getting this and fire away.
Here's Pope catching fire. Got a tip from Obaseki. That's the second time Pope in as many threes has been contacted. A&M heating up, in and out for Taylor. And team offensive rebound for A&M as Carter battled for that one and went out of bounds on the Longhorns.
Well, right now, Texas is not passing the test on second chances. That's 7 offensive rebounds, make it 8 for A&M. I mean, this is a team that leads the country. They get 43% of their misses. That's what they do. And right now, Texas is not making them be one and done.
Slow start for both, but the offense is heating up. Here's Wilcher. 95% of his shots come from 3. He is a 3-point specialist. Pope helped on Payne. Now he doubles down. Skip pass. They get it into the corner. They got Texas in the rotation, and it's buried. That's something that Texas worked on this morning, and the thought was that will be a non-shooter in the corner, and it really is. Jace Carter just 25% from 3 on the year. He already has 2 today.
And that was a guy averaged 16 at Illinois Chicago a couple years back. Hasn't found his stroke in College Station, but you wouldn't know it based on today's game.
Reverse it in for Caden Shedrick, and have a chance for a 3-point play.
Well, we've seen Obaski start to get his confidence. And then how about the quick ball reversal here? And Jace Carter, he hit it from one corner and he makes it in another. And if guys are going to start leaving them, he's making them pay. And then on the other end, nice strong finish by Shedrick.
So Shedrick goes to the free throw line, 67% on the season. Second year as a Longhorn after transferring in from Tony Bennett's program at Virginia. He was banged up last year, didn't get cleared until late. He had off-season surgery on both shoulders. 6th year of college basketball for Shedrick. Missed on the 3-point play.
Well, Tom, he's a guy that Rodney Terry looks at as his leader. I said, with all the newcomers and the freshmen, who's kind of that voice and stable force in the locker room? He quickly said Shedrick.
Here's Taylor. Hounded by Pope. Garcia got free. Coleman shuffles it to Hefner. First bucket for Hayden Hefner in this game.
Well, good job moving without the ball. I believe that's the freshman Johnson gets caught ball watching.
Trey Johnson's had a quiet game so far. He only has 4 points in the first 11.5 minutes. Waiting on the right wing. Shedrick gathers in traffic, surrounded by Maroon. Shuffled now to Mark. Got it. Triple for Tremont Mark, who's over 40% for 3 in his last 3 games. Texas is working really hard to try and get this thing down to single digits. Anderson Garcia. Who is this A&M team? They are red hot from deep, 6 of 10 from 3. They came in at 30% on the season.
And Texas intentionally is having short closeouts with a hand up, but they want to make Texas A&M take the bait on that. The problem is the Aggies are taking the bait and they're making them.
Trey Johnson puts it up from the horns. Into the hands of Wilcher. Very similar to the run that A&M went on late last year. If you remember the SEC tournament, I think it was the Kentucky game. They came out and Kentucky had a very similar defensive approach, and A&M got hot. It was part of a red hot end of the season for the Aggies. Coleman, no. Trey Johnson brings it across. He's going to try to take it himself. Off the glass and in.
Really nice job getting all the way to that block. Stops off 2 feet. Nice touch off the glass.
.640 to go in the first half. Aggies lead by 11. Taylor hit back-to-back threes moments ago. And now Garcia puts another one up. The freedom that A&M plays with offensively is only reined in by what Buzz Williams tells him. He doesn't tell him it's bad shots. He tells him sometimes they're unpredictable, which impacts the rest of their teammates.
That's right. Unpredictable. The correlation between that and it loses their offensive rebound opportunity. It hurts their transition defense, and it doesn't allow them to get to the free throw line.
But the shot diet is gorging on threes here in the first half.
Yeah, A&M's offense looking really good. Here's a little bit of off-ball cut here. Ball watching by Trey Johnson. Good job by Hefner. Just continue to move without the basketball. And the short closeouts Texas A&M says, no problem, you're going to leave me open. Money for Garcia. What a memorable moment.
There have been some dramatics in the history of this rivalry, and now they share a conference once again. It wasn't dramatic the first time these teams met in the second half. A&M annihilated the Longhorns at Reed Arena, won by 20 in a game that was tied midway through.
Tom, I'm really interested to see if Texas continues to make A&M take threes. I mean, that's what you want to do. Make A&M beat you from 3, not from 2, and from the free throw line, and play the percentages. A&M 6 of 11 from deep right now.
Wiltshire buries it. He had Trey Johnson in his face, but that is why he's here.
Well, he is a shooter, so it's a problem when their shooters are making shots and their non-shooters are making shots.
Larry drives and dishes. Nick Cody on the floor for the first time, passed up a layup. Longhorns 45% from the floor, 9 of 20.
Yeah, he calls for a ball screen, but he doesn't really want to use it. He'd rather go one-on-one.
Tried to step through. He is a tough shot maker, but it sometimes leads to just simply tough shots. Yeah. 1/10 of a second on the shot clock.
If he's going to call for a ball screen, I think he needs to use it. And Wiltshire's just a catch and stick guy. I mean, you called it earlier. 95% of his shots come from beyond the arc. Got to tip this one in.
Johnson gave it a try, but it'll be a shot clock violation. 14-point A&M lead. Almost matches the lead that Texas had in the football game at Kyle Field. They're up 17-0. Rodney Terry is well aware of the history of this rivalry. He and Buzz have known each other a long time. And he said, you know, we know what it means to the people of this state, to the people of this campus. And there's a matter of getting the guys on the floor to play with a sense of urgency. I thought Steve McLean, the assistant coach, did a fantastic job at walkthrough today, sharing that sense of urgency.
Yeah, he does a terrific job with their scouts.
Phelps whips it to Hefner. 3 on the shot clock. Challenge 3, and he nearly banked that one in. Johnson, transition, no, and Hefner with the rebound. Half of A&M's makes, more than half, as a matter of fact, 7 of 13 have come from deep.
Well, this is an A&M team that is 316th in the country from 3. And so, again, I think if you're Rodney Terry, you say, guys, don't panic. We're not going to entirely switch up the game plan. Just maybe close out a little bit more on the shooters, but continue to try to make them beat you from deep.
I don't know who invaded this A&M team, but if they can shoot even at 70% of this semblance, they're going to be a team to be reckoned with. Hefner takes it off the window.
Yeah, that's a great point, because nobody questions their defense, but if they can get more complementary basketball and start being more efficient on the offensive end, watch out.
Here's Tremont Mark, guarded by Wiltshire.
And here's the other thing, Tom. When they're making shots, it allows them to set their defense, which makes the defense even more dangerous.
Ooh. Zarek Onyema flying over the top of Pharrell Payne. It'll be the second on Onyema.
Oh, and this is what you love about Texas A&M. Payne is going to get an over-the-back foul right here. And as he's getting up, he's looking at his bench, celebrating like, yeah. I mean, when you can have the same sort of reaction that you would for an and one when you get an over-the-back, that's the identity of this A&M team.
A&M 21-9 on the glass. That's the only thing that saved them. They were plus 17 in a midweek game against Ole Miss, and they played lockdown defense at the very end of that game. They're down 8 with 1:30 to go and ended up winning on the road against Chris Beard's squad. By the way, Texas goes to Oxford midweek. We'll be there for that one on Wednesday night. Obaseki downhill, got a whistle. Will they count it? Pat Adams says yes. And Manny Obaseki is having a heck of a first half. He's already got 10. Will be at the line to try and find his 11th. Outside shooting has opened everything up for the Aggies. All right, Zubin, thanks. You know, you look at A&M's three-point shooting. It's as swollen as Malcolm Huckabee's ankle. 7 of 13 from deep for 54%. Obaseki misses what would have been a three-point play. Coach Crean said it. There's an offensive rebound for Payne, but A&M unable to cash in. Have you ever seen the picture of Malcolm Huckabee's injured ankle?
No, but it sounds huge.
It is disgusting, with all due respect. Here's Jordan Pope. Under 3.5 to play in this one. Aggies have scored the last 7. Trey Johnson trying to drive on Coleman. Finds Onyema.
They made the right cuts against the A&M defense. I just think Johnson had the mid-range at the free throw line. He passed up, made a more difficult possession than it needed to be.
By the way, they're teasing talking about Janai tonight, the big game with Auburn and Tennessee, and Bruce Pearl said on game day, we might see Janai Broome. He said he looked around the building. He said, I have a feeling with you guys here and with this crowd here that he's going to be on the floor tonight. Wouldn't that be something? Here's Coleman to Phelps. Shot clock late. Cash money. Zurich, Phelps, and A&M on a 10-0 run and absolutely draining from deep.
And we talked earlier about the confidence this A&M team shoots the ball despite not being a great shooting team. And you can't get hot like this and have no hesitation unless your coach instills that much confidence in you. And right now it is frustration station.
They're like the ugly kid insisting that the prom queen go to homecoming with them.
Well, they got a date right now because they are on fire. 8 of 14 from deep.
And the Longhorns have been sloppy. 3 turnovers in part of this 4.5-minute scoring drought. It's a 3-touchdown lead for A&M. This match is the largest lead of the season for A&M in any game. Denial inside. Great work by Onyema.
They got to push now. They've been coming up against a set defense far too much in this game.
Shedrick for 3. That's only his second made 3 of the season. He's now 2 for 10.
They've got to try to close this half out with some consecutive stops, get more transition looks.
Henry Coleman high off the glass. There's Shedrick again, impacting this game for the good for the Horns. Trey Johnson gives it right back to Larry. Nice pass through traffic and efficient finish for Onyema.
Well, 5-0 run for Texas, all because they've been able to get stops, push it up the court, get A&M in rotation.
Buzz Williams takes a timeout as they get a pass midcourt. 1:16 to play in the first half. Back in a moment. Coming up 4:30 Eastern on ESPN. Duke, winners of 12 straight, their longest stretch since 2015, takes on a Wake team that has won 6 in a row, its longest stretch since 1997. That starts at 4:30. Big 12 showdown with Houston and Kansas at 6:30, and we cap the day with #1 ranked Auburn trying to defend the jungle. Its home court against #6 Tennessee. The guys will fill you in on whether or not Janai Broome may see the floor for Auburn tonight. How else would you break down the Vols and Tigers?
Well, I think it's going to be a matter of inside presence. Even though Janai Broome may be limited, can Tennessee take advantage of his absence? Felix Okpara has been playing more physical. Yes, he gets a lot of lob dunks, but can he truly become a post-up threat to take some pressure off of Chaz Lanier and Zakai Ziegler in the backcourt?
Well, Lanier, who transferred in as a shooter and a scorer for Tennessee, is one of those rare guys whose usage has either stayed or increased, jumping up a level. They need him. As Rick Barnes says, that's why we pay you. We pay you to take the shots when we call the play for you. He went through a slump, but looks like he's out of it. 1:10 to play in the first half here. Obaseki guarded by Trey Johnson. They go with 12. Leighton Taylor has Julian Larry on. Gives it up to Garcia. He's hit a couple threes already. Off the front of the rim. Offensive rebound, A&M. It is an absolute backbreaker 10th of the game for the Aggies.
That is a great description. It is so deflating when the key to your game plan was finish possessions, make them be one and done, and you come up short.
Obaseki able to slice down the lane. A dozen in the first half for Manny Obaseki. That's 5 more than his season average.
13-0 in second chance points in favor of the Aggies. That is where the game is being won.
Longhorns are going to wait. Nearly a 3-second difference in the game clock and shot clock. Larry to the elbow. Couldn't get it to Johnson. Has nowhere to go. Pivots and gives it up with 1 second. I don't think they got it off, and it'll be a shot clock violation, second of the game for the Longhorns. This has been a masterpiece for A&M.
Well, I think that sequence right there shows you why Texas A&M is so good. On one end of the court, they beat you with the offensive rebound, second chance points. Then they hurry back down the court and lock you up for the entire shot clock. This Aggies team is absolutely tough and resilient. They've gotten off to some slow starts. They've had to come from behind. But right now, this is one of the most complete halves of basketball I've seen them play.
They're just reviewing the time here in an 18-point game with 7/10 or maybe a second. We'll see if that makes much of a difference. This is the second fewest points and a half this season for Texas at 24 against UConn on December 8th.
Yeah, that's got to be a lot of time.
Can I make a suggestion? We got an 18-point game. We're talking about tenths of a second. This is where games get bogged down by officiating.
Hey, we're talking about 1.6 tenths if they add it, right? 2.3. Get off your soapbox, man. No. We got a whole possession. Wait, hey, yeah, when Wade Taylor makes a half-court buzzer beater and Tom Hart's call goes viral, I bet you'll like the review then.
No, I'll let you call. You know what? I'll let you call the final 7/10.
All right.
You can take it yourself.
Keep it at 7/10. Oh, man, I thought it was going to be 2.3. You're right.
You think they should have spent another 4 minutes at the monitor?
No, that was a waste of time. We shouldn't have reviewed that at all.
Basicki made it close, and well, not much has been close in this one. Tied for the largest deficit at the half this season, matching what they couldn't do against UConn. We'll get to the studio with Zubin, Malcolm, and Coach Green right after this. In Texas, you're watching the SEC on ESPN, and the continuance of a rivalry that dates to 1917. It's been all Aggies in this first half, 43-25 for the 13th ranked team in the country. Well, not much has gone right for Texas. Even this, Arch throwing T-shirts into the crowd and incomplete.
High with a ton of confidence on the road after that big road win at Ole Miss.
Devon Pryor starting the second half for the Longhorns. Here's a look at our game summary. 13 second chance points for A&M, and the Aggies are plus 20 from bench points. Offensive rebounds, big part of that. 18 missed shots and 10 offensive rebounds. Wade Taylor hit back-to-back threes in the first half, part of an A&M run. Hefner with the dish. Solomon Washington.
If there's any optimism for Texas, it's Texas A&M can go cold. So if you can rebound and keep them off the glass, unsuccessfully there yet again, they're able to get the ball. And you do have a Texas team that can get hot themselves. So they can just find a way to get this thing to single digits.
Pope banks it in. Tremont Mark is not on the floor to start the second half for Texas. He started the game. But Mark with a 3-point first half and is on the bench to start the second. Washington with the pump fake.
Well, and I think one thing they're really looking for is just rebounding guards. As Pope does a nice job. He loves that pull-up jumper off the bounce. Tremont Mark with 1 rebound in that first half. It's not just the bigs. These guards got to get physical. These are some good offensive guards, but defensively they must be better.
Little floater good. Zurich Phelps has 7. That was the second personal foul a moment ago on Jason Kent. One thing that A&M can absolutely do in this time and score situation, even though we just started the second half, is they can bleed the clock.
Well, and the other thing they...
Oh, that's a good look. Cut. Jam for Jason Kent in his 136th career game in college basketball after transferring in from Indiana State. Hefner for 3. And again, A&M taking advantage. Trey Johnson got tripped up on his way to the hoop.
Tom, against this A&M defense, you have to cut off the opposite wing. And take a look at Kent here. He's going to cut off that opposite wing. That's where the openings are. They call that a 45 cut. But then here's your big man, Coleman, acting like a point guard. Gets the penetration, kick out opposite wing. Hefner with yet another three, and Texas can ill afford to just trade baskets with the Aggies.
Hefner with a kick save. Beauty. 13 buckets for Texas, 7 assists. They're not a big assist team. That's probably maybe even a hair above their season average.
Yep. And the danger for Texas, not only the score, but this is an A&M team that doesn't take possessions off. They don't play the scoreboard. Whether they're up big, tied, or down big, they play with the same energy and effort.
Johnson left the mid-range short. Texas has had a couple of really sluggish second halves. Not that the first half wasn't sluggish today, but they got beat by 20 in the second half at A&M. Florida really blew the doors off in the second half, and Rodney Terry said that felt like we ran out of gas. They were in that game against Florida, which is obviously a top 10 team and an excellent team on both ends of the floor. But it was interesting how one shot, a Trey Johnson three, and he gets a rejection here, that could have given Texas huge momentum, went in and out, and it was like the team knew that was our last gasp.
Yeah. And you look at their 2-4 conference record, it's actually pretty respectable. I thought they had the most difficult schedule to start SEC play, and I felt like they survived. Going 2-4, they get the win against Oklahoma, and then Missouri, of course, and you see who they lost to, and you understand it. And as you mentioned, it was just that second half. But right now, I mean, what you don't want is, okay, a quality loss, but what was the margin of that? And with A&M beating them by 20 the first time, you don't want to be swept by the same opponent by 20 plus. Right now, it's going to be about character and fight. And some of it, I know they don't do the eye test in the selection committee, but this is a little bit of an eye test opportunity for Texas.
Aggies haven't swept the Longhorns in a two-game series over the season since the 1986-87 year. Buzz Williams, two-time SEC Coach of the Year. Grew up in Van Alstyne, Texas. Here's Wade Taylor with the takeaway. And he just tees it up and knocks it right down.
And he is looking like the Wade Taylor of old, isn't he? Just confident. That's never left him, but seeing that ball go in, he's in a rhythm now.
A&M has cashed in with 9 points off of turnovers.
I mean, this is just walking right into the three. You got to know in transition, like, who's going to stop Wade Taylor? This guy's been doing it to the SEC for almost 4 years now. You better have a sense of urgency.
Veteran versus rookie. Trey Johnson fouled by Wade Taylor. It's a second on Taylor.
Well, and I like the fact that Texas is talking right now in that huddle. They're not playing well, but Trey Johnson helps huddle them up. He's got a voice. A lot of freshmen get quiet. They become an introvert, but I like how he's been vocal on the court. And this is a close Texas team. They call each other out. You don't see it right now with their play, but the chemistry off the court is there. On the court, I think, is something they're still developing.
Our featured ESPN2 Big Monday women's matchup has number 2 South Carolina headed to Rocky Top to take on the 17th ranked Lady Vols. Johnson knocks them both down at 7 Eastern on ESPN2 Monday night.
Congrats to Coach Caldwell. They just welcomed their new baby boy.
They name him Dane?
No, it's too popular.
Yeah, in Knoxville under his breath. Knocked out of bounds. It'll be coming back the other way for Texas.
Buzz Williams has done such a sensational job with this A&M defense. They are holding opponents to 39%. That is the best field goal percentage since Billy Gillespie's 06-07 team that went to the Sweet 16. They are just a nightmare to look at that trap in the corner. It's just so hard to even complete a pass against them.
The step through for Shedrick, and he gives it up. Solomon Washington didn't play much in the first half. Beautiful no-look pass and a flush by Shedrick. Solomon Washington picked up his second foul less than 3 minutes in and then went to the bench and didn't return. Here's Henry Coleman III, rejected by Kent.
Timeout on the floor.
Texas has shown some life here in the last couple minutes.
Yeah, they've been unable to get a string of stops together, but they are able to get a few more easy baskets. They've gotten to the line, and then this time, nice dump off to Shedrick, finishing above the rim. See if Texas has a little more fight in them, make this thing a game.
Talk with AC after the game. If you do that in this day and age of college basketball, that could be tampering. But regardless, Texas beat number 7 A&M 98-96 in double overtime. A&M is looking for their first win here since 2002. Longhorns have won 10 straight in the series. There was a technical foul, unsportsmanlike technical foul issued to Henry Coleman III for something he said at the end of the play. We didn't get the technical, but we got Buzz telling Henry exactly how he felt about it. So Trey Johnson knocks down a pair of freebies.
Well, I'm sure the message to Buzz Williams, to his veteran senior, is, hey, man, we can't give these guys anything. They are frustrated. We are in control of this game. Don't do anything that could cause us to lose momentum. Silly play.
We'll see when or if Coleman gets back on the floor. Obaseki cut off. This is Jace Carter. Wade Taylor directing the offense from the wing. Shot clock at 2. Garcia double clutch and couldn't knock it down. We still haven't seen Tremont Mark in the second half for Texas. Devon Pryor's got another bucket. It's an 8-0 Texas run. Obaseki keeps it. It's punched out by Garcia. Taylor from way deep. And a chance to run for the Horns. Pope drops it off Johnson for 3. Oh, he was feeling it now. You don't get back quickly. Taylor beats him down the floor. And the follow from Carter falls off. Frantic pace, 3-on-2 Texas. Pope off the back rim, 2 threes that were great looks, don't go down.
Oh my gosh, right in front of us too, Tom, and both of them looked like they were on target. Great looks. A&M, slow this thing down, get a quality look. They've been rushed there on that offensive rebound opportunity.
Beautiful feed and flush. Pharrell Payne delivers on the Obaseki assist.
Well, with Wade Taylor on the opposite side, his defender never came over to help on that roll. So worried about 4, forgot to help.
Texas 3 skips off the rim, and Garcia pulls down the rebound.
Well, and right now, if you're A&M, I'm not sure you don't just go to that same exact set. Typically, if that ball screen worked, see if you can get them on it again.
10 of the Aggies' 21 field goals have been threes. Power move inside off the glass. He's a difference maker when he's on. 6 for Payne, who since December 1st has been one of the hottest shooters in the SEC.
Yeah, he has just found a way to finish, whether it's above the rim or make those tough 2s through contact. He is a bull down low.
Johnson very rarely uses the screen. Here's Shedrick, gives it right back to him. And he knocks it down. Is that, you think, because he would prefer not to have so much body traffic around?
Yeah, but it's interesting because he calls for the screen himself, and then he doesn't really use it much. And so all it does is really invite more traffic. I think he just likes to go back to his comfort zone, which is one-on-one ISO, let me shoot over the top.
Payne draws a double. Obaseki. That's stuck with him. Shot clock at 9. Taylor, no. Rebound into Pope's hand. 1-on-2. Turns it into a 2-on-2. Trey Johnson for 3. No, again. Texas has had plenty of bites of the apple.
Yeah. You'll often hear the description, a timely shot, and it just seems like Texas hadn't made those timely shots. And look, there's no help defense down the middle there. Look at Pope up top. He's worried about Wade Taylor. That's got to be Pope, 0 and white. That has to protect that roll first. But when you're guarding a big-time shooter, it's difficult to do. And then this is just a tough two. Nothing Shedrick did wrong there. But A&M trusts the big man down low. They make tough shots on the perimeter. They make them tough on the interior as well.
Longhorns have made it a game, though, whittling it to 15 after what was a 22-point A&M lead. Here's Zurich Phelps, trailed by Johnson. Now Obaseki. Pharrell Payne. And Texas got away with a little shove on the hip.
I agree.
Looked like Onyema took a shot to the eye on the defensive end. Fade away. 2, and Trey Johnson going to the line. They're going to get Obaseki for that one.
And that is his favorite spot on the court for Johnson. On either baseline, he just loves to get it, turn his back to the defender, a little bit of a fadeaway, has such good elevation and a high release. Hey, he sees two guys coming, but that doesn't faze him whatsoever. He still knows he's in his comfort zone right there.
One more coming for Trey Johnson, who's got 15. Coming up today at 5:30 Eastern on ABC. Our triple header rolls on with Celtics Mavs, and the Countdown crew will get you ready for Lakers Warriors at 8. Anthony Davis giving the Lakers 25 points and 12 boards a game. Trey Johnson knocks them both down. 13-point A&M lead. The Aggies have missed 9 of their last 11.
A little bit of pressure from Texas. Not desperation, but just try to get the tempo going in their favor and see if they can't capitalize. I mean, for the most part of their season, they've been a really dangerous team in transition, but between Pope and Johnson, they just haven't been able to hit at a high clip in recent games on those transition threes.
Obaseki fires up the 3, and Texas has the rebound. The Aggies 5 for 17 in the second half.
Big possession here.
Mark is on the floor, touches it inside. Onyema looking for an open shooter. Larry nearly walked with it, and he finds Onyema, and he's fouled. Zarek Onyema going to the free throw line.
Well, Larry is a pass-first point guard. When he penetrates, he's not looking to score. He is looking to pass, and he tricks the defense to bringing the help over. A big-time and one as the Longhorns have some life.
The faces of players past in this rivalry. And player of the year, TJ Ford, DeAndre Jordan at A&M. Marcus Aldridge, part of fantastic recruiting that Rick Barnes and company did with Rodney Terry as assistant. Oh, yeah. Kevin Durant. Saw some 35s in the crowd today. And even a Montrose Christian jersey. That kid was not around when Kevin Durant was at Montrose Christian.
You got to love the throwback. Great swagger. He might have something in his drink he's not happy about. But
Dad, there's a gnat in my drink. Texas hasn't trailed by single digits since Wade Taylor hit back-to-back threes to open up a double-digit A&M advantage. Kent lost it out of bounds. That was an opportunity lost for Texas, just like the couple of transition threes they failed to knock down.
But I do think Texas is starting to settle in defensively as A&M has been cold in this second half. And A&M, it's part of their offense, and they practice it. But it can look a little bit like a my turn offense. Like, hey, you go one-on-one, and then the next guy has a turn. And they try to get favorable matchups. But if you can guard the ball and guard your yard, you can force some really tough mid-range twos.
They are just 25% from 2 in the second half, and that's been the biggest difference in the offensive slowdown. Shot like a 4. Garcia lowered his shoulder. And he's able to draw the foul.
And it was a foul. And you just got to be able to slide your feet without putting your hands on them. I mean, they could have called it earlier there, and then you just get that arm bar in there on the driver, and that's what the officials have to call.
Third personal on Jason Kent. And it puts Anderson Garcia at the free throw line.
I would have thought it was on the floor.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah, they're going to change that.
It doesn't make Rodney Terry any less frustrated by the whistle, but your point, the SEC officials blow their whistle more than anybody else in college basketball because of the style of play and the athleticism. Just as one example, each and every year, the SEC leads the country in block percentage.
Big, strong, fast athletes. It makes it tough to officiate. But the freedom of movement's important. And as you've talked about before, making sure this league in particular is prepared for NCAA tournament officiating.
Here's Manny Obaseki, tried to dance with it, and then they get Trey Johnson.
Texas is so close to playing some perfect defensive possessions. That last time Kent had his arms on him, and this time you've done your job. No need to jump at this pump fake. The minute you go from point A to point B, especially with that arm down some, this is a very veteran, cagey A&M team.
And so the senior from Allen, Texas, Manny Obaseki, goes to the free throw line. He got hot late in the year last year. Moved in the starting lineup over the final 8 games. Went for nearly 17 a game. Anthony Jordan chatting with Rodney Terry.
This is an A&M team that typically gets 23% of their points from the free throw line, but just 1 of 2 tonight. So Texas has done a good job keeping them off the line.
Obaseki's got 3, 72% on the season. He had a 12-point first half. He had 10 total last time these teams met. They are last in the league in free throw percentage. Obaseki's missed his first 2. On the SEC network tonight, Ole Miss and Missouri in a ranked versus ranked showdown. Richard Cross and John Stumble have a call from Columbia. And Alabama tries to defend its home court against LSU. 8:30 Eastern on the SEC network, always available on the ESPN app. 1 of 3 from the line for Obaseki on that trip. The deficit for Texas is 12. Aggies have been a great come-from-behind team in the season. The Longhorns have a surge. And nearly a turnover, trying to force it into Trey Johnson. The Longhorns have played extended periods today, I should say, without premier scoring options on the floor, specifically Jordan Pope and Tremont Mark. Mark on the floor now, but Larry's running the point.
Of course, Kaluma out with that injury as well.
Good point. Haven't seen Arthur Kaluma the entire game. Trey Johnson. Whoa, that was a shove. Solomon Washington goes all the way to the hardwood. A 3 and a whistle and a chance for 4. Tremont Mark stepping up. He's made it a single-digit deficit with a chance at the line to whittle it further.
Tom, that's going to start with this screen right here. That is not a legal screen. You can't run your man with the forearms out like that, and it becomes what could be a 4-point play. I mean, Onyema, very physical screener, and you want to be at the point of attack and initiate contact, but boy, he sure seemed to be leaning into the defender on that one. Solomon Washington to hold his hands up and says, wait a minute, how am I the guy that was in foul trouble in the first half? Yet that happens to me.
Tremont Mark hit a game winner against A&M last year when he was at Arkansas. He has come up big with a 4-point play, and the lead is down to 8. It was once 22. Been 3.5 minutes since the Aggies have made a field goal. Zurich Phelps finding some space, left it short. Hayden Hefner fought for the rebound. It is off of mark and will stay with A&M. "20 seconds on the shot clock for Texas A&M. Rodney Terry said his team ran out of gas in the second half against Florida. It is a lot of work to come back from a 22-point deficit. Can they hold on to the momentum here at home? Pat Adams with the whistle. We got Larry trying to fight through the screen. Called for his first.
Yeah, that's a clear foul by Larry. I mean, he was hugging Wade Taylor that entire time. You wrap your arms around him there, that becomes an easy one.
Saw Looser dancing at the Elephant Room last night.
I stuck with room service.
Here's Taylor looking for Hefner. Shot clock at 9.
Got to finish possession. You can force a tough two. Can you finish the possession defensively?
Phelps on Johnson. They're going to get the... No, they get an offensive foul on Zurich Phelps.
Well, a really nice job by Johnson showing his hands in the air. When he feels his hook come across his head like that, he just tries to straighten up to make it clear as day for the officials to say, hey, my hands aren't on him. That's all in the back of my head. Great call. Good, solid defense by the Longhorns.
Longhorns have scored 11 of the last 12 to make it a game. Here's Mark downhill, reverses, and a follow falls out. Shedrick fouled on the second follow-up. It's a second on Hefner, and Solomon Washington is not getting up. And you hope it's just a cramp, but he is in all sorts of pain. Buzz Williams out to check on him. Eddie Banyan is the A&M athletic trainer.
Well, this kid is, in a lot of ways, the heart and soul of A&M. Big-time energy player. Great rim protector.
Yeah, left ankle.
Left ankle.
Came down on Payne's foot.
He personifies the identity of Texas A&M basketball with his defense first, team first mentality.
Last year, he led the SEC in block shots for players 6'7" or shorter. This is an A&M group over the years under Buzz Williams who always seem to outperform the individual talent. And Buzz said many times when talking with the media earlier this season, even coming into the year, this is the most talented team I've had. And in his press conference this week, talking about the come from behind win against Ole Miss, he said, listen, it's not our coaching staff. In fact, it may not be our players. It's our players' parents that raise young men that work so hard and that never quit.
Well, it's so difficult for a coach once they hit a certain threshold of success where they can recruit maybe more talent. How do you acquire more talent and still keep that chip on your shoulder on your roster? I will say, Tom, one thing that's interesting, this is per KenPom. I'm trying to look up the last time this group of 5 for Texas has been on the court together. I'm not sure they have. I mean, when you got Kaluma out, you got Pope on the bench right now, but whatever works, stick with it. This crowd is erupting.
Lead is down to 6. Zurich Phelps working on Cody. Loose ball. Longhorns fighting for it. The Aggies, though, difference got on the floor for it. The possession arrow belongs to Texas. 9:01 to play here in their home building, and the Longhorns are fired up. What do you go to here if you're Texas?
Well, it's got to be Trey Johnson. They've just got to be careful. A couple times they've been trying to pass on the interior here against the press in traffic because you got 2 bigs up the court. You've got guards and then bigs. Bigs got to make good decisions right here. Don't turn it over. Make the easy one.
To your point about this lineup, Nick Cody hasn't played much for Texas this season, but on the floor with the other 4. Tough 2. Falls off, and the Aggies come up with it. A&M has made just 2 of its last 13 shot attempts. Wade Taylor, the 4th, picks up his dribble. Now he'll let Phelps take a shot at it. Shot clock at 10. Phelps got a half step on Mark. Rejected by Mark. Shot clock at 1. Taylor for 3. Got it! And he tries to hush the crowd after a huge triple. Timeout, Texas A&M. The lead back to 9. These are, as described before, absolute backbreakers. Right, Zubin, thanks so much. Here in Austin, it's a 9-point lead for Texas A&M, which was once 22. Sounds like we've got some drama in the college basketball world on this Saturday afternoon, huh?
Yeah, the road environments have just been sensational throughout college basketball, especially in the SEC. And Memorial Magic seems like it's got a higher percentage of happening than ever, with Coach Byington really energizing that fan base.
Trey Johnson doubled in the corner, and we got a jump ball. We'll take it back the other way, and we will step away to pay more bills. A&M clinging to a 9-point lead on the road at Texas.
Well, the Texas Longhorns have been able to cut this lead in half in the second half because of their penetration, getting to the paint, causing rotations and help defenders coming over. As you see some of these paint points. On top of this, they've been able to get to the free throw line 10 times in the second half, going 9 of 10, giving the Aggies a taste of their own medicine. Of course, A&M with that big cushion of an 18-point lead in the second half. But this is an A&M team, Tom. They average 17.6 free throws made per game. Their opponents only take 19 a game. And so right now, Texas has been able to get back in this thing by flipping that stat in their favor.
Mac Brown courtside for this one. Buzz Williams said the goal is to get into the bonus as early as possible, both halves. Hasn't happened. Here's Coleman. Solomon Washington back on the floor after turning his ankle. Shot clock at 5. Here's Washington. Spins. Contested and got it.
I love that from Washington because he could have taken the 3. It was another one of those short closeouts. But for the second time this game, he turns it down and spins right there, gets to his comfort zone.
Longhorns are shooting 44% in the second half. That's only a couple of ticks better than they were in the first half. Larry trying to find Kent. You mentioned the interior passing could be a dangerous lifestyle choice.
Yeah, just a lot of traffic, but here's that spin move. Solomon Washington really likes to spin back off that right hand to his left. Good floater.
Here's Kent, puts it on the floor, and got rejected after leaning into Pharrell Payne. That'll be Texas A&M basketball after it trickled out of bounds.
That looked like a clean block off A&M. I'm not sure anybody from Texas touched it. Here's the block, and that should be Texas ball.
Longhorns putting Larry on Taylor, 94 feet. Larry trying to stay in front of him. Great defensive effort, but Wade Taylor makes him pay regardless. They rule it a 3. They're going to take another look at that at the next timeout. His toe may have been on the line.
He's just a guy that you can have good defense and better offense from number 4 sometimes. Unguardable.
Johnson working on Washington. And he takes tough shots. He's got a team high 18. Pardon me, 17 for Johnson. Taylor picked up by Shedrick and whistles it out of bounds. Payne wasn't ready for it. This is the 3-pointer they're going to take a look at and make sure all 10 of those toes are behind the line. Tough to see from that angle. was that? That should be a technical. A&M had 6 on the floor.
Yeah, Wade Taylor tried to hustle off afterwards. You're right.
Listen, here's 2 things. Not only is that a technical foul for having 6 on the floor, that is a major miss by this officiating crew. One of the primary jobs of a 3-man crew is to make sure that there's only 5 per team on the floor.
Let's see if they're going to catch that here, because you're right. That is a huge play. I mean,
yeah, this is Wade Taylor leaving at midcourt.
He looked like a offensive or defensive lineman trying to get off in time.
.5:59 to play. There's already been 1 technical foul issued against Texas A&M, Henry Coleman for unsportsmanlike, and we got 2 free throws coming on this technical foul. It'll be Trey Johnson again, who knocked 2 down the first time.
Yep. So they'll get free throw and the ball and able to correct it, but you rarely, as long as I've been calling games, I haven't seen 6 men on the floor at the college level. I mean, rarely does that happen.
Technical foul for Texas A&M.
So Trey Johnson to the free throw line. I'm watching Buzz plead his case, and I don't know what kind of argument you would have. It's not like he was right in front of the A&M bench. He was at midcourt.
Yeah, it was a live ball situation for sure.
Now, granted, if you remember A&M's game with Tennessee last year, Buzz himself came on the floor.
Right.
So there are no limits, apparently, when it comes to the Aggies. So 2 free throws for Trey Johnson. We got it figured out now.
I think that was part of the discussion, was is it 1 free throw on the ball or 2? And clearly it's going to be 2 now.
I don't know if I've ever seen that, to be honest.
No, and Wade Taylor forces a pass. Really an ill-advised turnover, and then doesn't get off the court there. And so as good as he's been for Texas A&M, your veteran point guard really has to play with a high IQ on the road. You got the opponent against the ropes. Got to close this one out if you're A&M.
Aggies are plus 16 on the glass. It's been a huge difference in this game. Here's Trey Johnson, guarded by Coleman. Step back 3. Got it! 5 in a row for the freshman Trey Johnson. And an A&M turnover. Texas team playing shorthanded without Arthur Kaluma, still without Kendall Weaver. It's a 7-0 run for the Longhorns.
Got to go same look, right? Try to get Trey Johnson the ball and see if you can get him matched up on the opposing big man.
They love the isolation. He's got Solomon Washington on him now, and so Larry says, I'll just take it myself. Couldn't knock it in on the miss. They installed that isolation play that Carmelo Anthony used against Texas in the national semifinals before the Florida game a week ago. Under 5 to play. Carmelo went for 33 against Texas. A near takeaway. The loose ball ends up in the hands of the Aggies and Jace Carter. And then the scrum will turn into a possession arrow. And it goes to Texas.
That's the hustle and effort and intensity you must match the Aggies. Loose ball, bodies flying everywhere. And we talked about Texas's inability to make those timely threes, just some of those transition threes. Well, a couple possessions ago, Johnson hit that huge one to get this thing to 7, and they're denying him. Right now, Solomon Washington's the guy, when they say, hey, we got to deny, don't let this guy touch it, that's who Buzz Williams calls on. See if Johnson can get some separation on Washington, because once he gets the ball, I like the matchup. It's can he get the ball?
Texas uses a timeout. Longhorns have 3 remaining. 4:49 to play in regulation here at the Moody Center. Longhorns on a 7-0 run. Aggies haven't swept this series since 3 on the extended possession a moment ago. That could come back to bite the Aggies, but they had a 22-point lead.
Yeah.
And it's like facing a triple option offense. They can go in a 4-minute offense, they can bleed the clock, they can limit the possessions, and then the real challenge is no matter how many runs you have, how much premium gas you have left in the tank. Longhorns on a 7-0 run right now. Here's Tremont Mark. Trey Johnson has had a magnificent second half, 16 points since the intermission. Gets to the baseline on Carter, gets him in the air, and he's going to the free throw line.
They tried to run a 3-point play for Johnson, peeling back to fill in behind Mark. A&M covers it well, but plan B is just get Johnson the ball, let him go to work, and he gets to that baseline spot. And this is typically where A&M likes to force opponents. It's send them to the sideline where that baseline help is, but Johnson is so good on that baseline. He loves to rise and pop. Probably the most unique cover in the SEC in terms of going up against A&M and taking advantage of that spot.
9 for 9 from the free throw line. He's got a game high 24. It's a 5-point game. Phelps and Taylor are the scoring threats for A&M. Taylor calling out the play off the ball. A whistle against Caden Shedrick, his first.
Shows you A&M's commitment to get a post touch on Payne. I mean, he caught that ball near the 3-point line.
First free throw attempt for Pharrell Payne coming here in a moment. Just 57% of the season. A&M came in as a team dead last in the SEC, 68% from the charity stripe. And he misses the front end. 9-0 Texas run. Trey Johnson guarded by Zurich Phelps. Running along the baseline. Gets the touch. Now Carter's on him. Phelps lies in wait. Johnson directs traffic. Crosses over to the logo. Rebounded by Texas, and Kent fouled on the way up. 3:48 to play in regulation in a rivalry that dates to 1917 coming down to the wire.
Team for Texas, 2 of 6 for A&M.
Two free throws coming for Jason Kent. He was part of that sensational Indiana State team that took college basketball by storm last year, but fell just short of an at-large berth to the NCAA tournament. Jason was born here in Austin, and the former Sycamore gets it in, made his first start as a Longhorn today. Bounced around a couple of spots, started his college career at Bradley. And he missed a handful of games earlier this season with a wrist injury. Back to provide depth, 1 of 2 from the line.
Nothing different defensively if you're Texas. Keep guarding the ball and emphasize box outs.
Shedrick trying to stop Payne. And got whistled for the foul. It's a second on Caden Shedrick.
Yeah, it's a really tough spot for Shedrick because, you know, technically they're supposed to call that first displacement, but they kind of let the players feel each other out, and Payne certainly moved him off his spot. But good job by Payne spinning back to that offhand.
That first displacement should have been a foul on Shedrick.
No, excuse me, on Payne. I mean, when he initiates that contact, but it wasn't severe enough. I'm okay with the no call as the officials allow the physicality for those players to feel each other out down low.
This is a true Achilles heel for Texas A&M at the free throw line. They are 2 for 7 in this game. Payne has yet to make one. One of two. Two possession lead, 3:31 to play.
As Texas has gone to this unique lineup, it becomes pretty predictable that they're going to go to Trey Johnson because Jordan Pope's been on the bench as they've had success with Larry at the point spot. But keep an eye on Mark, 12. I mean, somebody besides Johnson's going to have to make a bucket in these closing minutes. It can't just be 20 every single time down the court.
Larry's got 5 assists to his name. Johnson goes past 2 Aggies, finds Tremont Mark in the corner, and it's rebounded by Zurich Phelps. Well, there's the add-on to that isolation play, but A&M doesn't usually allow that pass along the baseline, right?
Correct, yeah. They usually take away that hammer. Missed opportunity.
Back to Carter, shot clock at 9. And now Phelps from the Taylor screen. One-on-one. Phelps working on Johnson. Lost his footing. Another hook. And a follow tip from Coleman.
And Phelps just kept penetrating. Put up a wild shot, but he did draw an extra defender, leading to an offensive rebound opportunity on the backside.
Larry picks up his dribble. Here's Mark. Larry has nowhere to go. Mark to Trey Johnson, gathers and guns, got it! Trey Johnson hits the triple. We've got a timeout. Texas trailing by 4 with 2:14 to play.
You must stay attached to Johnson. We'll see a couple of last buckets. Here's Phelps. They got to come over and try to contest that, and nobody really helps out Shedrick to rebound down, leaving the backside open. And then gets a little bit of that zone look. Trey Johnson finds an open spot in the corner. That's way too easy. I think A&M had more success trying to deny him the ball and make the others beat you, play 4-on-4.
It is a 20-point game by freshman sensation Trey Johnson. He has matched his career high at 29 against Ohio State earlier this season. Augustine and Durant were the other two with 6 20-point games. Pardon me. He's 2 off of his career high. And he's done most of it in the second half with 21.
Yeah, you just forget that he's a freshman. You're watching him just dominate this second half on the offensive end. And I think it's harder than ever to be a star as a freshman as college basketball has gotten older, with NIL bringing some of these guys back, with 5th year, COVID year, transfer portal, you name it. And yet Trey Johnson is looking like a veteran out there.
And he did it from the jump, was maybe the most impressive thing, breaking KD's freshman debut record for points in his first game as a Longhorn. And you think about other freshmen in college basketball, it's natural to take them a little while, a dozen games or so, to find the flow. A big part of his performance today, 10 for 10 from the free throw line. I mean, Cooper Flagg in November, December is not the same guy he is now for Duke, as one example, the most prominent.
Yep.
Here's Garcia, will hold. They're going to run some clock, get it under 2 minutes. Nursing a 4-point advantage. A&M won at the buzzer practically on Wednesday night. They didn't lead until there were 13 seconds left in the game. Phelps crossover, tried to bank it. Offensive rebound, Garcia. He was the best in the country at it last year, and he gives the Aggies a 6-point cushion. Johnson guarded by Phelps. Gets it back on a handoff. Here's Tremont Mark going baseline. Wow, tough shot.
Texas is going to deny Wade Taylor the ball. And if Phelps can get it, try to create a switch. Last time they had Shedrick guarding Phelps. That's advantage A&M because you also have a mismatch on the offensive rebounding side when the guard's having to try to guard Garcia.
Buzz is trying to send a play in, and Wade Taylor is on the wrong side of the floor. 10 on the shot clock. Phelps rebounded by Tremont Mark.
Yeah, they never got the switch, which hurts their offensive rebounding too.
Kent finds Johnson for 3. Got it! We've got a 1-point game. 30 burger Trey Johnson. Wade Taylor, the fourth. Guarded by Larry. It's deep. Fadeaway blocked. And a loose ball collected by the Horns. Shot clock is off. Longhorns are looking for their first lead of the game. The Aggies have never trailed.
Tom, I just don't know why the A&M guards want to play one-on-one and refuse the ball screen. Texas was switching the ball screen. Use it, get a more advantageous matchup, and then go to work. But they refused it twice in a row, leading to tough twos, easier box outs on the other side. And then Trey Johnson just makes them pay with a contested three ball. We talked about the lack of timely buckets for Texas this season. Trey Johnson has been timely Trey in this one.
He is a true freshman who's a likely lottery pick in this summer's NBA draft. He has a 24-point second half. He's got 30 in the game. So what do you drop if you're Rodney Terry and company?
Well, it's real easy to say get Trey Johnson the ball. It's about where you start him and what action you have before he gets the ball to try to make his catch somewhere near the three-point line to where he's not so far out and he can't get denied. And so right now I like a drive by Mark where they had Trey Johnson fill behind. And if he gets open, great. If not, at least he has a catch and can go to work on that right side near the bench.
A&M once led this game by 22. That has been whittled to 1. Here's Trey Johnson. Got a 30-point game going. Guarded by Zurich Phelps. Shot clock is off. He gets a screen from Shedrick, but ignores it. Gives it up to Larry. Clock is at 7. Here's Mark. Had a game winner last year against them. Off the window and in. Tremont Mark gives Texas its first lead of the game. Wade Taylor across midcourt. Off the rim. Texas comes from 22 down. And the Longhorns win against their rivals 70-69. This is a win that will reverberate all the way through Selection Sunday for Texas.